Hey, good evening. I can't even talk. Starting off. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? Thanks for joining me tonight. I know normally we do these on Wednesday night. I just couldn't do it last night, so I moved it here, put it at 8 o'clock, so other people could get some lives in. But I'm glad you guys joined me. Um, so this video or this live, the topic is going to be about our responsibilities as citizens. And let me give you a little background on how this started. Okay, so I did a short recently. Here, let me pull it up. I'm just going to play it real quick for you guys. Let's see here. Share.
We hear a ton of people demanding their rights nowadays. But what we don't hear from most of these people are the responsibilities that come with those rights. Now, here's a good rule of thumb. If in exercising your right in a moral and ethical manner, if you force somebody else to sacrifice their right, it's not a right you're demanding, it's a privilege.
All right. Hey, before we go on, let me say hi to everybody in the chat. If you haven't posted anything in chat and you're watching, go ahead and get in there and come join us. We got Charlie and Ashley Defoe, guys. These Charlie and Ashley just started their channel. I'm not quite sure how many viewers they've got or subscribers they've got so far, but they're trying to build their channel. They're talking about their homesteading journey. So go ahead and check them out if you would. Light Raider SC Semper Fi brother. Bonnie Blue 2A. Rabbit's here. Rabbit, you having a drink? You got that Kraken and what is it? Kraken and Coke that you drink? Still Tree and Still Tree Resell is here. Glad you guys can make it. Okay, so like I said, this whole idea behind this video started with something that caused me to make that video. And it occurred to me that a lot of people are demanding rights, and these rights range all over the place. And it seems to be whatever I want should be a right. And that's coming from both sides of the aisle, uh, more often than not coming from the leftist Marxist side of politics. But patriots and conservatives lose their minds and do it too sometimes. And if you've got a right, you've got responsibilities. And let's take abortion is a low hanging fruit on this. If you're demanding the right for an abortion, then you've got the responsibility not to get pregnant, so you don't have to kill a child. That's your responsibility, and it's very easy to do. But a lot of people don't want that. They want to use abortion as not as women's health, but as a form of birth control. Not birth control. What's the word I'm looking for? They're looking at it to make their life easier. All right. So they're not demanding. They're not saying, okay, I've got this responsibility to not get pregnant if I don't want a child. Right. And it goes to all kinds of other stuff. The free education, free housing, you name it. It's there. So that got me thinking. If we're guaranteed the Bill of Rights, then that should also come with understood responsibilities. And the whole idea behind this is if we honestly believe what we say we believe politically and in that regard, then we have to understand A, why we believe what we believe, and B, what that entails. And a lot of people, and myself included, I've fallen into this trap a lot of times too. A lot of us forget the second half of that unwritten part of the Bill of Rights, the responsibilities of being a U.S. citizen. And the founding fathers wrote very heavily on it and talked about, in the Federalist Papers and their personal documents that about the responsibilities of the citizenry. In fact, Ben Franklin, I think it was, he was asked whenever they ratified the Constitution, what type of government do we have, sir? And it was a woman that asked him, and he replied, a republic if you can keep it, ma'am. All right. So that's what brought this on. Hey, okay, I don't know, is the chat stalled out on me? I don't know. It stopped whenever Still Tree came in. Give me a second. Let me double check and see if it's working. Don't want to miss your guys' chats, man. Your comments. I think I should have made it so there were no ads. And remember, get into the live chat too. If you guys are okay, I see test. Okay, good. It's good. All right. So without any further ado, if you're not a subscriber and you run across this video, you watch it all the way through. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe at the beginning. I want you to get completely through it. And if you enjoy this type of content, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know whenever new content comes out. All right. And if you like this and you're a subscriber, hit the thumbs up. Let YouTube know you like this type of content, because it not only helps me, it helps every other provider that's doing the same type of content. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the program. Boom. Okay. Like I said, this is the Bill of Responsibilities. Okay. The Bill of Rights compromises the first. Okay, this is in case somebody stumbles on this and they have no idea what the Bill of Rights are, or they have forgotten. Okay, the Bill of Rights, comprising the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution, guarantees certain individual rights. That's the key word right there, individual. Remember that as we're going through this. All right. However, with certain rights come corresponding responsibilities that ensure the effective functioning of society. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of the 10 rights in the Bill of Rights, and we're going to talk about the associated responsibilities. And I guarantee you, some of you are going to find problems with some of the responsibilities I say. And I want you to remember, number one, I want you to remember that these are individual rights, thus they're individual responsibilities. And like I said before, the founding fathers felt that we needed a moral and ethical society. And that was the only way that we could move forward as a society and become great as a country, is if we had a populace that had a moral and ethical foundation. Now, it's a Judeo-Christian foundation that the country was founded on, but the universal truths that we find in these morals and ethics, they apply across the board. They are universal truths. Oh, there you go. I like that, Bonnie Blue. Rights are like muscles. If you fail to exercise them regularly, you will lose them. Absolutely. Okay, now on to the First Amendment. And we're gonna give you a quick recap so that we understand. First Amendment is the freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. All right. So the associated responsibilities with these: number one, exercise speech without spreading falsehoods, hate, or inciting violence. That's a key component. In fact, even the media. I don't know if you guys remember, one of the yutzes on CNN said, "Where does it say in the Constitution that people are supposed to peaceably assemble?" And if the First Amendment says it right there, it says it's supposed to be peaceful. The second one, to respect each other's rights to their beliefs and practices. Third one, to assemble peacefully and respect lawful authority. Lawful. All right. Now, there's a key one right there. Lawful authority, based on the natural right, is one that is moral and ethical. All right. Remember that. It's respect. Lawful is moral and ethical authority. And the last one is to petition grievances without malicious intent. All right. So you don't want to hold grudges and make it personal. All right. Well, you can make it personal, but you don't want to do anything maliciously. All right. And if you guys got any questions about what I'm saying or any comments, feel free, challenge me. If you think that I'm off base with these, hey Starla, if you think that I'm off base with these things, go ahead and say so, and we can discuss it. That's why we're here for. We're here. This is not me teaching anything. This is me sharing my ideas so that you guys can bounce back and let me know what you think about it. Okay? So the next one is the Second Amendment. This is the one we all love, right? This is the one that everybody spends a lot of money on. The right to keep and bear arms, the responsibilities to use firearms and responsibly and lawfully. Don't want to go out and rob banks. All right, we don't want to go out and take other people's stuff. Next one, to ensure safety in storage and handling to prevent accidents or misuse. All right, now this is one that I think if the knee-jerk reaction is to say no. All right, this is a bad one, and the knee-jerk reaction is caused because the state tries to impose this. All right, this goes back to the argument that the left makes all the time about the religious right is you can't legislate morality, and they say that when it's things that they don't like, but whenever they try to legislate, California's got safe storage laws. Illinois has safe storage laws, right? You can't drive a vehicle in Illinois with a gun in it unless the gun and the ammo are separated and one of them's locked up, right? So you can't. So they're trying to legislate people's responsibilities. Yes, Sam, exactly. Sam hit it right on the nose. You can safely store your guns in the holster on your body. Absolutely. And safe storage, what is safe storage? And the answer to that question is it depends. If I've got kids in the house, if my grandkids are here visiting, my guns are stored completely different than whenever they're not here. All right. So it depends on your individual situation. All right. And this is the one that's under the attack. The Second Amendment is under attack. So we need to understand what our responsibilities are because when we have people that are not upholding these responsibilities, it gives the gun grabbers ammunition, so to speak, to try to take people's rights away. And we're going to talk about that. Maybe not in this live, but we're going to talk about that. Okay, let's go on to the Third Amendment. The Third Amendment is protection from quartering soldiers in homes during peacetime without consent. This one, thanks to our physical location and what's gone on in the history of our country, this one has not been pushed too terribly hard. That doesn't mean it won't be. And the responsibility is we need to support the national defense system in lawful and appropriate ways when required. Now, required, there's the key word there. In the chat, in your mind, in that sentence, what do you think required means? Does it mean that the government is requiring you to do something, or is it you're required because it's the moral and ethical thing to do? Which one do you think that is? Right? Because this question or this responsibility flows right into the idea of a draft, which has been upheld as being lawful multiple times in our country's history. So give me an idea where you guys are on that. And supporting the national defense system in lawful and appropriate ways. One of the things about that is, what's the national defense system being used for? The idea that we can send troops any place in the world on the whim of a politician and wage war without actually calling it a war is, and trust me guys, I I grew up in the system. I fully supported this for a large portion of my adult life, being in the Marine Corps and being associated with the Army. You know, it's wrong. It's wrong. We shouldn't be able to do that. If we're going to wage war, we should declare war, and we should take a stand on that. Okay, so Sharon thinks it's the moral and ethical aspect, and I agree. I agree 100%. You know, and we're going to talk about this. We're talking about values here, and there's and one of the amendments down the road actually brings that into focus and question. Right? We're going to talk about that. Okay. The Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment is protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. Okay. The responsibilities here. Oh, hang on. Sam piped in on the last one. In fighting age males, if fighting age males accept whatever the result is from not going to war, then there should be no war. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the things. Maybe I should have said, maybe you make a good point there, Sam. One of the things about responsibilities is you have to take personal accountability, individual accountability for either upholding this responsibility or not upholding it. You are going to have to take personal accountability, and that's something that our society as a whole has lost the ability to do. There's as a culture, we are always looking to blame somebody else for something that is our responsibility, right? So yeah, you make a good point there, Sam. Appreciate that. Okay. The responsibilities here, the protection against unreasonable search and seizures, the responsibilities are to cooperate with lawful investigations and respect the legal processes. That's a tough one to swallow there, isn't it, guys? Isn't it, guys? Especially with the whole idea of jackbooted thugs and all these other things. You know, it's hard. It's hard to get people to say, you know, I support law enforcement. It really is hard for people to do that. Having a son that's in law enforcement, I have a slightly different perspective than a lot of people. I do back the blue, but I also acknowledge that there are a lot of agencies, both at the local, state, and federal level, that have a lot of problems. All right, and again, remember, this is if it's a lawful in the idea of moral and ethical investigation, and the legal process has not been corrupted, we've got a responsibility to do it. I mean, and this is all the way back to a biblical thing of rendering unto Caesar. I mean, that's literally the idea that they're talking about, you know, but that doesn't mean we compromise our morals and ethics in the process. All right. And again, we'll talk about that. The next one is to refrain from engaging in illegal activities that might provoke a search. Hold on. Yeah, Bonnie Blue says law enforcement has good eggs and rotten eggs, just like every other profession. Yes, and the problem arises, Bonnie Blue, is that a CPA that is a rotten egg does not have the monopoly of force granted by the state to arrest you and or kill you in the process of doing what they do. All right. Rabbit says, I have a problem with the last part due to the fact that they continuously change and add more laws almost daily. So basically, if you get up in the morning, you've already done a crime. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about a government that is running off the foundational principles of this country, and Rabbit accentuates something. You know, he's absolutely right. This happens, right? And so there's a whole nother conversation to be had, which, by the way, I've already got the presentation for that. We're not going to do it tonight. We're going to do it in another live. But there's a whole nother conversation to be had whenever the government starts doing things like this. All right. So yeah, Rabbit's absolutely correct in where he stands, and it, we have to remember what our responsibilities are when the government's running properly, so that we know exactly where we're starting from when we combat it. Part of the responsibility is preventing unjust laws. Bingo. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's, oh man, I can't remember if it's in this one or not. Well, let's go through this. I think there's in one of the other amendments. I think one of the responsibilities touches on that. Okay. Uh, so yeah. So, see, and this is the stuff that I knew people were going to have problems with, because when I read it, I had a problem with it. And just so you know, here's how I came up with all this stuff. I actually went out and came up with the supposition of the video, and then I went to ChatGPT and I had it act as a copyright for me. And then I went through and read what it said, and I tweaked it, and I had a conversation with it, and I was able to get it to talk what I wanted it to talk about without being biased one way or the other. All right. So this is a good argument for go. Don't be afraid of chat. The chat AIs, go out and engage them, because if we don't teach Chat GPT our point of view, the only point of view it's going to get is the liberal one. And then whenever it reaches the point where it is doing a lot more in our society, it's going to be biased towards people that believe like we believe. All right. So yeah, that's off the topic here, but go out and do it. But I think I honed in on this pretty good. I think it did a pretty good job of coming up with the basis, and I was able to tweak it and make it exactly like I wanted it to be. Okay, Fifth Amendment: protection against self-incrimination, double jeopardy, and deprivation of life, liberty, and property without due process. Man, this one's getting abused all the time these days, isn't it, guys? Okay, here's our responsibilities: to respect the judicial system by providing truthful testimony when legally required. If you get on the stand and you take an oath to tell the truth, you should tell the truth, and you shouldn't lie, no matter what the repercussions are. As far as interactions with individual law enforcement, you're not legally required to say anything to them. You're not, and that's one of the basis behind don't talk to the police. But if you get into the system and are required to give testimony under a oh gosh, what's it called, before you testify on the stand, where they brief you, you should be truthful. And the next responsibility is to act in good faith in dealing with others to avoid legal disputes. Man, we do not want to create problems. We don't want to create disputes where we shouldn't have one. All right. If you deal in good faith with people and they deal in good faith with you, then everything works out exactly like it's supposed to. Rabbit says you don't have to try and remember the truth. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is harder to lie about something than it is to tell the truth. Problem is a lot of people, from the most powerful people in this country to the most lowly people on the street, they don't want to take the repercussions of not upholding that responsibility. They don't want to do it. And that's what the Fifth Amendment's for. I mean, if you're going to self-incriminate, just don't say anything. How many times have we seen that? It happens, and good people and bad people both do it, right? Okay. the Sixth Amendment. See, now we're getting, a lot of these things, a lot of people, they know the big ones, the First Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Second Amendment. They know these, but these other ones, they kind of slips by. Those two responsibilities under the Fifth Amendment are right out of the Bible. Oh my gosh, Bonnie Blue. Man, you just, if a liberal rolls across this video and they see that comment on the screen, their head's going to explode. But you're absolutely right. As I've said before, the whole underpinnings of our legal system and our justice system are based on Judeo-Christian values, right? And it does not, how do I put this? From a sectarian point of view, that does not make them inherently better or worse than anything else. From a Christian point of view, they are the basis of our worldview, all right? And so it makes perfect sense for us to how these amendments or these rights work and what our responsibilities are. But if you come from someplace else and you look down upon the Judeo-Christian worldview, yeah, then you have lots of problems with it. And this has been one of the reasons why they've tried to get that out of the public space, saying that it's wrong. Okay, the next one. By the way, we've got 14 people watching us. Do we have 14 thumbs up? Do I need to go look? Do I need to hold you guys responsible? Oh, 14 people watching. How many thumbs up? Only 6 thumbs up, man. You guys are slacking. You guys are slacking. Okay, Sam says one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. Absolutely, and that is the entire basis of the second part of this conversation. And I'll teach you guys a little bit more on that when we're done with this, okay? Okay, the Seventh Amendment. It is the right to trial by jury in civil cases. There's a key word right there, civil cases. Our responsibility is to honor contracts and agreements to minimize unnecessary disputes. And then to participate in the civil jury process if summoned. That's the one that a lot of people across the board, they don't want to do jury duty. And I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't have a problem doing it. Although I did screw up this last week. I actually got a jury summons and I forgot to call in on the first week, and I don't have to call in until next Monday. So hopefully they didn't have a trial last week, so I didn't get in trouble. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, you guys, you should be ready and roaring to go do jury duty. I know it's a pain in the butt sometimes, but you know what? You get to do some really cool stuff. I sat on a jury for a criminal case. Guy was a drug dealer, and he was trying to make it look like his wife, who had some cognitive issues, shall we say, was the mastermind behind his meth dynasty in Cass County. But anyway, the jury members they focused on the fact that this guy was a scumbag, and he was a scumbag. All right. And when we started deliberating, they were gonna convict him on the fact that he was a scumbag. And I was like, whoa, wait. Are you guys 100% positive that the state proved their case? And what was going to be a 5-minute deliberation turned into a 2.5-hour deliberation, where they went through and they actually broke down what was said by both sides, and finally came to the conclusion that the state had proven its case. Now, they also came to the conclusion that he did it very lazily, but he did it nonetheless. All right. But you can get in there and you can get people thinking and get them, help people understand their responsibilities and become better citizens. Also, the responsibility to seek fair conflict resolution before involving the government. Absolutely. 100%. And that goes back to, these are individual rights and these are individual responsibilities. If your first response is I will sue you whenever something happens, then you're doing it wrong. Right? And you're doing nothing but short circuiting the whole Bill of Rights, the whole idea behind the Bill of Rights. Yeah, and it's too many people, and our society's become litigious, and we got to figure out how to fix that. And quite honestly, I don't have any idea. I don't have any idea. But yeah, we need to come up with solutions before the government gets involved. Now, here's a question for you guys. In light of what Sam said, what about Sharia courts within the United States? If you don't know what a Sharia court is a theological court set up in Islam where Muslims can go outside. It's an extra governmental thing where it's outside the government. They can go to these courts, and they don't hold it, like in America, they don't hold any legal power, but in Islam, they've got legal power, if that makes sense to you. Hey, Bill, what's up? Mr. Zeg's in the house. So how do you guys think that fits into this whole that whole before the government gets involved? Is that something that's acceptable, or is that something that's not acceptable? Now keep that in mind. Don't answer yet, because when we get to the Ninth Amendment, when it gets to the Ninth Amendment, there's going to be some questions there. All right, so don't answer yet. Got some side talk going on about it being icy. Yes, it is icy, and it's actually snowing here again. I'm kind of we're not even a third of the way into the winter yet, and I'm already done with winter. So is everybody else around here. Okay, the Eighth Amendment. This is protection against excessive bail, fines, and cruel or unusual punishment. All right. Here's our responsibilities: to follow the laws and regulations to avoid penal consequences. You don't do the crime, then you're not going to have interactions with police officers. But this goes back to what Rabbit said. Rabbit, a lot of people have problems with this responsibility because of the state of our legal and justice system, right? And Beria, the head of the secret police under Stalin, said, "Show me the man, and I'll show you the crime." And that is part of anarcho-tyranny, where they create such a Byzantine labyrinth of laws and regulations that, as Rabbit said earlier, you wake up in the morning, you've already broken 3 laws, right? If Muslims can sort out their problems without violating people's rights, then I'd be fine. Absolutely. There it is. Exactly. As long as they're not trampling on somebody else's rights in the process, we should have no concerns about it, right? Doesn't mean we have to like it, but we should have no concerns. Okay, the next one: to advocate for fair and humane treatment within the justice system. Our government has failed at this responsibility. The government, the people running the government have failed at this responsibility, and the most blatant example are the J6 people that have not had a speedy trial. They've been held in solitary for years on end, denied basic amenities. So this is something that we have to work on, and we have to remember our responsibility. And part of our responsibility, as Sam pointed out earlier, is to avoid unjust laws. We're supposed to avoid things like cruel and unusual punishment, right? Oh, all right. Next one. This is the one. The Ninth Amendment. The way this came out, I had some problems with, and it took me a little while. It took me a little while to work through this. That the last response. I'll tell you when I get there. Okay. The Ninth Amendment: recognition of rights not specifically enumerated by or in the Constitution. And what that means is even though it's not written in the Constitution, if it's not there, it falls back to the states to worry about these other rights. All right. The idea of the Constitution is it's a framework. These are rights that the states cannot violate, but they're not supposed to make stricter laws. All right. They're not supposed to make stricter laws. So yeah, this is a tricky one. Okay. So the responsibility to exercise these unenumerated rights without infringing on others' rights. As I said, that short that I showed you at the beginning, if you're demanding a right and you're you're infringing on somebody else's right, it's not a right that you want, it's a privilege. All right. And our government, our legal system has created privilege, and it's across the board, and it's something that we need to be aware of. All right. And this next one's a tough one. To acknowledge and respect the values of society. And the way that was originally written, that got me thinking about this. It actually, when I first did the first draft of this, it actually said to acknowledge and respect the collective values of society. I got a problem with that wording. I had a big problem with it. The whole idea of collective values smacks of Marxism to me, and it does to a whole bunch of other people. And so I took it out and I started looking at that sentence and trying to figure out exactly what it was talking about. Okay, and here's what I came up with. I got some notes here. So there's 4 words in here. The 4 words that are important are acknowledge, respect, values, and society. Okay. Now remember, we're coming from a position of a moral and ethical and conscious populace, and the whole idea behind this was drawn from the inspiration of the founding fathers when they wrote it. All right. So first, we need to acknowledge, and a morally and ethical aware populace recognize the values such as liberty, justice, and individual rights are central to the fabric of society. I think we can all agree on that, can't we? Inspired by the founding fathers, this means understanding these principles are essential for maintaining a free and virtuous society. That right there, that last sentence there in the acknowledgement goes straight to the thought that we have to understand why we believe what we believe. And if that understanding pushes us in a different direction than what our belief is, we need to either A, gain a better understanding, or B, change our position. All right. And as patriots and conservatives, we have to be willing to change our position whenever we're wrong. I was rock ribbed. Seriously, I was dogmatic in my beliefs, and I've been challenged by a lot of people over the last 10, 15 years that have made me change my position on a lot of things. And I've gone from being, I don't know what you call me, but I've become more libertarian in my views. All right. So we have to understand and acknowledge these things. And you notice there's nothing in there about freedom, that the values of liberty, justice, and individual rights are central to the fabric of society. There's nothing in there about freedom. And if you're asking yourself, well, what's G talking about? Freedom and liberty, they're the same thing. No, they're not. I actually had an anarchist down in Oklahoma actually taught me this. And he said, freedom is man's ability to do as they please, whereas liberty is freedom tempered by morals and ethics. All right. So just because you have the freedom to do something doesn't mean it's a good thing. how many hundreds of millions of deaths were caused in the 20th century because men had the freedom to do what they wanted. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. What's my beautiful bride? Grumpy doesn't go to the conversation you and I had about when does liberty become liberties. Actually, that's for the next video. Actually, and then so Rabbit says. The 90s made me understand that the system is not your friend in any way. Your rights mean nothing to them. You need to put the system in quotes because the system as it's supposed to be and the system of they are two completely different things. Yes, and that's a major problem, and that again, it's another reason why we need to understand why we believe what we believe. Okay, let's go. Let's look at the next word, respect. And there's a word that they love banning around. You have to respect me. You have to respect my rights. Okay, respecting these values. Remember, values of liberty, justice, and individual rights. Respecting these values reflects a commitment to preserving a balance between personal freedom and the common good. Your ability to do what you want and what's best for everybody. All right. The founding fathers emphasized that liberty must be paired with virtue, as only a populace guided by moral and ethical principles can sustain self-governance and true freedom. Okay, right there. That's Yoda. Yoda made the comment. When does a liberty become liberties? Right there. That's when it becomes. That's when liberty stops being a liberty and it becomes a liberty, as in the ability to do whatever you want, the freedom to do whatever you want. Right there. That's exactly where it is. If you don't respect somebody else's rights and you do whatever you want and it causes them harm, then that's when it becomes a liberties. I hope everybody's understanding what I'm saying. That's a tough one. The semantics there, the semantics are kind of tough. But I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. All right. And then the next word, values. Okay, here's where it gets kind of dicey for people because values. A lot of people think that values are something that they hold to themselves. Well, no, that's not the right. That's not the right way to say it. Their values are above everybody else's values. That's the way to say it. People, they think their values are above everybody else's, and everybody else should bend to their will. All right. So values. The key values include individual rights, responsibility, equality under the law, and respect for the inherent dignity of every person. According to the founding fathers, these are derived from natural law and the belief in a creator who endowed humanity with inalienable rights. A moral and ethical populace understands that these principles require active participation and vigilance to endure. Boom. Sam said it right there. Sam said it earlier. We have a responsibility to keep unjust laws from being enacted. Right there, and the only way we do that is if we're participants in the system. And this goes directly to the concept of community that we talk about on this channel constantly. It goes directly to it. If you're not involved, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing as a citizen. All right, plain and simple. And how do I put this? If somebody's morals and ethics infringe on somebody else's rights, then that's where the problems begin. That's where the problems begin. If goes back to my original example of abortion. If your right to an abortion causes another human being to lose its life, then yeah, we got a problem. I have a huge problem with it. And I don't care what argument they make. At the very end of the day, you're ceasing another human life, and you're infringing on somebody's life. That, plain and simple. It's a moral and ethical, from a moral and ethical position, it is indefensible. Yet people manage to find their way around. And I'm just using that as an example because there are hundreds of other things where other people rationalize their tyranny. Okay, then the last word, society. Okay, this is where we differentiate the idea of collective society in the sense of the Constitution, and a collective society in the sense of Marxism. Okay, this is where that differentiation comes from. And I took out collective. That's why I took out collective values, because I wanted to make sure that we weren't getting confused there. But here we go. This is what I came up with. A society rooted in the ideas of the founding fathers is composed of individuals who value self-reliance, civic duty, and accountability. As John Adams famously stated, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Yeah, you talk about prophetic. Such populace recognizes that their moral compass directly impacts the success and longevity of the republic. Man, that's a deep one. That one right there. The key thing there is the self-reliance, civic duty, and accountability. If you are embracing those three things and incorporating those into your life, then all these other things just simply fall into place. And accountability. That's a bad word in our society these days. Hey, how's it going? So we need to start preaching more accountability, and we need to be that way in our own personal lives, so that the people around us see it and they will want to emulate it. All right. Okay. Spend enough time on that one. Let's go to the 10th and final amendment. Where is it? Okay. 10th Amendment. Powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved for the states or the people. Okay, here's our responsibilities. To participate in state and local government processes responsibly. Now, there's that word, responsibly. Now, in your guys' mind. Okay, hang on a second. Let's backtrack. Let's backtrack and no, that's not true, Rabbit. Rabbit says, I have no rights than according to what was just said, because I'm a heathen and not ashamed of my roots. Makes one wonder. No, your statement is 100% false. Because as I said before, even though it's founded in Judeo-Christian ethics, the ideas behind it are universal truths. This is why they're inalienable. They're handed down. The natural law handed down by God applies across the board, no matter what. We can't parse it out. We can't say that because I'm a Christian, these rules apply to me, and because Rabbit's a heathen, they don't apply to him. That's antithetical to what we're talking about here. All right. So no, you're 100% incorrect on that. You're 100% incorrect on that. And you can hold different values and ethics. But like I said before, if you're not infringing on anybody else's inalienable rights, you go right ahead. And nobody should be infringing on yours. As long as you're not harming somebody else, who gives a care, right? If we lived in a perfect country, if America was perfect, every single person in the country would be uh, libertarian. You know, they would identify as some flavor of libertarian if we lived in a perfect society, but we don't. We've got people that are on both ends, and this is where the problems come in. Let's see here. Sam says these rights are given to you upon your creation, however you believe in your creation happened. Absolutely, yep, absolutely. And that's where the equality is. You know, the people screech about equity. I don't want equity. I want equality. I want the ability to have the same chance as somebody else if I apply myself and try to make my life better. You know, we don't live in a system where we have castes. You know, despite the best efforts of the government and people on the left to create an us versus them mentality, we don't live in a society of castes. We don't live in a society where some people are better than others by their birthright, as in a monarchy. All right, everybody starts out equal, and how we handle it is what makes that right there is American exceptionalism. The fact that somebody can be born into poverty, drug-addled parents, abused, doesn't have a good education, and has the ability in American society to rise to prominence in business or in politics or wherever, that's American exceptionalism. That is what the Bill of Rights and the entire Constitution is made for. All right. Hey, Scanes, glad to see you make it. All right, let's talk about responsibility. Let's see here. Oh, we already talked about the participate in local governance and the process responsibly. So, in your mind, is me getting up and screeching at somebody in a meeting, trying to disrupt the meeting? Is that participating in the government process responsibly? Is that a responsible way to do it? You know, so I would say no. I would say no, that's not a very responsible way. Now, does that curtail us? Does that mean that we can't get up and we can't challenge what is being said during the governance process? Well, absolutely we can challenge it. In fact, it's our responsibility to challenge it. Okay, the next responsibility, to respect the balance of power between state, federal, and individual authorities. Sovereign citizens. This is where I have a problem with sovereign citizens. Oh, we got some more people coming in. Shannon's KGB Bible reading and study. How you doing? Who else is in? Who I saw? Did I see Tamber come in? Yeah, Tamber came in. Glad you guys can make it. Kind of catching the tail end of it all, though. We don't have much longer to go. You know, but that's why I have a problem with the sovereign citizens, because they don't balance themselves. They put themselves outside of the rule of law, because they say anything that they don't agree with is not legal, right? And they twist and make all kinds of crazy harebrained associations in order to validate their beliefs. All right. Now, on the opposite end of that, the state twists it too. Hey, Northern Girl Hobbies. You know, so it happens across the board. And this is why we need to understand the way our government works. And we need to understand our responsibilities. And we need to understand the government's responsibilities. The government has a responsibility to uphold these inalienable rights that we have. It's just, and it doesn't do it. In fact, it abrogates them in a lot of cases. All right. And that's the basis of the next video. But before we get there, let me do the conclusion. Got one more thing to talk about. Where are we? Oh, that's not where I want to be. I want to be right here. By understanding and balancing rights with responsibilities, Individuals contribute to a society that upholds freedom, fairness, and justice. And I use the word freedom there on purpose. All right, because freedom is the basis of liberty. That you can't have liberties without freedom. All right. So as I was saying, the imbalance, the imbalance between the state, the federal, the state, the local, and the individual is completely imbalanced, and it has been for a very long time. And that's the fight that as a society Americans have always had, to keep everything in balance, because there are men out there, men and women. There are people out there that have a lust for power, and they will do anything to get it and keep it. Hey, Joseph G. All right, yeah. I'm not sure when it's going to be. Maybe this weekend. Maybe next Wednesday. I don't know yet. Haven't figured it out yet. So the next video, this is a 2-part video, because the whole basis of this video, as I said before. Here, let me stop sharing this so I can see you guys. Get up there so you can see me in all my glory. All right. So as I said, the whole idea behind the responsibilities is a moral and ethical populace, and the government is Kraken and Dr. Pepper. Okay. The government is made up of the populace of the people. All right, it's made up by the populace, and if the populace is immoral and unethical, then the government is going to reflect that. That's why you hear Tag and you hear me say there are no political answers to the problems in this country, and that's the basis of it all. Because until we fix the underlying problems with society, the government's going to reflect everything that's wrong with it. So the next video is what are the responsibilities that we have based on the first 10 amendments? How do those responsibilities change in light of tyranny? What happens when the government becomes tyrannical, overreaching, oppressive? What happens to our responsibilities, and what as individuals should we be looking to do? All right, so that is going to be the next one. The next one, we're going to talk about our responsibilities under a tyrannical government. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm glad y'all showed up. Bonnie Blue, have a good night. Stay safe with all the snow. Excuse me, I went down the wrong pipe. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you stumbled across this and you made it all the way to the video and you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe. We'd love to have you come join the community and join us in these chats and these lives, and comment. If you have anything, if you come up with anything after this is over, get down in the comments. Put it in the comment, and let's talk about it. All right, let's discuss it and see if we can work it out. Last thing, if you want to support the channel, we try to use all the money that is generated off the YouTube channel. We use the proceeds from YouTube to do that. Helps us get better equipment and do other things. If you feel like you want to help us out, there are a bunch of links down in the description on merchandise you can get, and companies that we're affiliates with that you can use, and we get a little kickback if you use their stuff. Feel free to do it. I'm not begging you to do it, but if you want to get some good deals, there are some very good deals down there. Yoda and I were talking in the car today. We got 2 families hooked up with freeze dryers, Harvest Right freeze dryers last year. We got people that have bought stuff from Food Forest Nursery. Some people have told me that they've looked at the J. I don't know if they bought the J stuff yet, but get out there and you're supporting these good companies, and you're making yourself more self-reliant and more self-sufficient and more free. All right. You're not hooked into the system. All right. You're escaping the system by doing this. Okay, guys. Really enjoyed doing this with you. A lot of great stuff in the comments. I love everybody chiming in, and some of y'all hit some ideas that I completely missed. And you guys just brought it to the forefront, and it was like, yes, that's absolutely correct. It's a good thing. Be on the lookout for the next in this 2-part series. Like I said, it's going to be sometime next week on the 22nd of January, Wednesday the 22nd. I will be live with Zach from Unique Prepping. I don't know if you guys know him, but go out and check out Unique Prepping's channel. He's a very interesting young man. He's got a very good story. He's got a very good story, and he's doing good stuff. All right. As Yoda says, be a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. When you go to bed tomorrow night, you lay your head on the pillow, ask yourself, what did I do to make myself more self-reliant or more prepared than when I woke up this morning? And then when you're doing that, you guys go out and live a lifetime free. All right?
In a world without rule of law, where society hangs by a thread and chaos reigns supreme, there emerges a beacon of survival and strength. Introducing Without Rule of Law, a deck of 300 emergency preparedness survival scenarios to help people navigate this lawless realm. They cover survival topics from self-defense to resource management strategies and more. Get on the same frame of mind as those around you.
Tough times never last, but tough people do.